The doorbell rang at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I wasn't expecting anyone. My wife Jessica had said she was working late again, the third time that week. I'd stopped believing her excuses about 2 months ago, right around the time I hired the private investigator. I opened the door to find a man I'd never met standing on my porch, tall, mid-30s, wearing an expensive leather jacket and designer jeans. He had that confident smirk of someone who thought he was about to win something. His cologne hit me before his words did. "Hey man, is Jessica here?" he asked casually, like we were old friends, like he hadn't been sleeping with my wife for the past 4 months. I recognized him immediately from the photos. The P I had done thorough work. Coffee dates, hotel parking lots, his hand on her lower back as they walked into restaurants across town. This was Marcus, the regional sales manager from her company, the man she'd been texting at 2 a.m. while I pretended to sleep beside her. I leaned against the doorframe, calm, studying his face. "You must be Marcus." His smirk faltered slightly. "Yeah. How did you—" "Come in," I said, stepping aside. "We should talk." He hesitated, confused by my tone. He'd expected anger, maybe a confrontation, possibly a fight. Instead, I was inviting him into my home like a guest. That uncertainty flickered across his face, but his arrogance pushed him forward. He stepped inside. I closed the door behind him and gestured toward the living room. "Have a seat!" He sat on the edge of the couch, looking around, probably noticing the wedding photos on the mantel, the life Jessica and I had built over 7 years. I sat across from him in the armchair, hands folded, completely calm. "So," I said quietly, "how long have you two been seeing each other?" His jaw tightened. "Look, man, I didn't come here to—" "4 months," I interrupted. "Give or take a week. It started at the sales conference in Phoenix, right? The hotel bar, too many drinks, one thing led to another." The color drained from his face. He wasn't smiling anymore. I continued, my voice steady. "Then it was lunch meetings that ran long, evening strategy sessions that never seemed to end, weekend training seminars that Jessica absolutely had to attend." I paused. "Except there was no training seminar last weekend, just a hotel room downtown that you paid for with your credit card." He stood up abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this." "Sit down, Marcus." Something in my tone made him freeze. Not anger, not threats, just absolute certainty. He sat back down slowly, his confidence crumbling with each second. "I'm going to tell you something," I said, "and I want you to listen carefully. You came here tonight thinking what? That you'd convince her to leave me? That you'd stake some kind of claim? Maybe even confront me man to man?" His silence confirmed it. I reached beside the chair and pulled out a manila folder. The same folder I'd been keeping in my desk drawer for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment. I placed it on the coffee table between us. "Open it." He stared at the folder like it might explode. Slowly, he leaned forward and opened it. Inside were divorce papers, already filed, already processed. Jessica's name printed clearly at the top. And beneath those papers, printed emails, text message transcripts, hotel receipts, photos, everything. I watched his face go from confusion to shock to pale, sickly realization. His hands trembled slightly as he flipped through page after page of evidence. "That's your copy," I said calmly. "I had extras made." "Why? Why are you giving this to me?" he whispered. I leaned back in my chair. "Because you're about to learn something important about Jessica. Something I learned too late." He looked up at me, waiting. "She's going to tell you I'm controlling, that I didn't understand her, that our marriage was dead long before you came along." I paused. "She's going to cry on your shoulder and make you feel like her hero for rescuing her from her terrible husband." His expression shifted. Recognition. She'd already started that narrative. "And here's what's going to happen next," I continued. "You're going to believe her. You'll move in together, maybe next month, maybe 2 months from now. She'll be amazing at first, grateful, passionate, everything you thought you wanted. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the quiet street. Then the cracks will show. She'll start comparing you to me, little comments about how I used to do things differently. She'll mention her ex before me, how he was more spontaneous. She'll start working late again. And one day, maybe 6 months, maybe a year from now, some other guy will be standing on your porch, wondering why she's not home. I turned to face him. His face was white, jaw clenched. Because that's who she is, Marcus. This isn't her first affair. You're just the first one stupid enough to show up at my house. That hit him like a physical blow. What? Check page 7 in that folder. The P I found 3 others over the course of our marriage. I just didn't know until recently. I walked back to my chair. You're not special. You're not different. You're just next. He sat there, frozen, staring at the papers in his hands. So here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice cold but steady. You're going to leave my house. You're going to go home and think about whether you really want to be with someone who destroys marriages for entertainment. And when Jessica calls you tomorrow, crying about how her husband found out and kicked her out, "You're kicking her out?" he interrupted. "She's already gone," I said simply. "Her sister picked her up an hour ago. I changed the locks while you were reading." His mouth opened, but no words came out. "When she calls you crying," I continued, "you get to decide. Do you want to be husband number 2? The next man she gets bored with? The next life she blows up when the excitement fades?" I stood and walked to the front door, opening it. Cool night air rushed in. "Or do you want to walk away now, while you still have your dignity, your career intact, and before she destroys you the way she destroyed me?" Marcus stood slowly, the folder clutched in his shaking hands. He walked to the door like a man in a daze. As he stepped onto the porch, he turned back. Does she know you know about the others?" I smiled coldly. "She will tomorrow, when my lawyer presents all of it in court, along with the fact that she's been transferring money from our joint account to pay for hotels and gifts for you." His eyes went wide. "She's been using your money to fund her affair with you?" "Yes." I tilted my head. "Did you think she was paying for those hotel rooms with her own salary? She doesn't make enough, but I do." The realization crushed him. He wasn't her hero. He was just another expense on my credit card statement. "You know what the saddest part is?" I said quietly. "I would have forgiven the first one, maybe even the second. I loved her that much. But she kept going, kept lying, kept destroying something I thought was sacred." Marcus looked down at the folder in his hands. "Why give this to me? Why not just let me figure it out on my own?" "Because," I said, "you're going to be the one she runs to when this all falls apart. And I want you to know exactly what you're getting into. I want you to make a choice with full information." I paused. "Something she never gave me." He nodded slowly, defeat written all over his face. "Also," I added, "your wife deserves to know too. That's the second copy of those papers. The third copy goes to your company's HR department tomorrow unless you resign first. Workplace affairs violate your employee conduct policy, I checked." His face went from pale to gray. "You're destroying my life." "No," I corrected calmly. "You destroyed your life when you decided sleeping with someone's wife was worth the risk. I'm just making sure you face the consequences, same as she will." Marcus stood there for a long moment, then turned and walked to his car without another word. I watched him sit in the driver's seat, staring at the folder, probably realizing that everything he thought he knew had just collapsed. My phone buzzed, a text from Jessica's sister. "She's asking why you changed the locks." I typed back, "Tell her to ask Marcus. He has the answers." I closed the door, locked it, and walked back into the quiet house. The house that was finally, truly mine. No more lies. No more pretending. No more wondering where she was or who she was with. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, documents, angry phone calls. Jessica would rage. Marcus would probably ghost her. Her family would take sides. Friends would whisper. But tonight, I sat in my living room, poured myself a drink, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace, because I'd done something she never expected. I hadn't fought for her. I hadn't begged. I hadn't even gotten angry. I'd simply shown her lover exactly who she was, and let him decide if that was what he really wanted. The doorbell didn't ring again that night, but my phone exploded with messages from Jessica. 17 calls, 32 texts, each one more desperate than the last. I didn't answer a single one, because the man who would have answered those calls, who would have given her another chance, who would have believed her tears? He died the moment I saw those first photos from the investigator. The man who opened the door to Marcus tonight was someone new, someone who valued himself more than a woman who never valued him at all, and that man was finally free.